Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. A very good evening. We are gathered here to talk about Dr. Shahid Siddiqui's book. We have the privilege of having Dr. Saab over here himself. Dr. Shahid Siddiqui is a renowned educationist, linguist, teacher, researcher, academic administrator, and a prolific writer. He has his PhD in applied linguistics from the University of Toronto, Canada. He's done an master's in education, TESOL from the University of Manchester, UK, postdoc at Oxford University, and he has held several academic positions, including that of a vice chancellor at Allama Iqbal Open University. Currently, he's Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences, Media Studies, Art and Design at the Lahore School of Economics. He has written several books, and his books include Rethinking Education in Pakistan, Perceptions, Practices, and Possibilities, Education, Inequalities and Freedom, A Socio-Political Critique, Language, Gender and Power, The Politics of Representation and Hegemony in South Asia, Education Policies in Pakistan, Politics, Projections and Practices, Reimagining Education in Pakistan, which is the book we are going to talk about, Contemporary Challenges and Critical Choices. Apart from this, he has written a number of very interesting, highly acclaimed Urdu fiction writing, Aadhe Adhure Khwaab Hain, Mausam-e Khush Rang, Potohar, Khita-e Dilruba, and and there are several translations of these, the book Aadhe Adhure Khwaab ki, there are translations in Urdu, Sindhi, and in Punjabi. So thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Shahid Siddiqui. So one of the things that has always surprised me when we talk about education is that how paradoxical and contradictory are our thoughts. On the one hand, when anything goes wrong, we said, well, this is because people don't have education. Any conflict comes, you have any crime that comes up, you say, well, it's all because we have poor education. But when we ask people to come and reflect and engage in education, young people like you, and they would rather do something else and not really come into the field of education. And this is highly unfortunate. The more people like you, young people like you, people who have this critical frame of mind, the more they engage in educational dialogue, the more we can do something. So if you really think education is something that can transform society, then we need to think about it critically. Sorry about that. So 26.5 million children out of school, major issue. So a number that increases every time there is a climatic disaster, a number that increases every time we have floods, a number that increases every time we have smog and lots of other climatic disasters. And then what about the students who are already in schools? Thinking about the learning poverty. So what happens, even if we don't talk about the learning poverty, what about the content of what we are teaching the students? How does it relate to real life issues? And this brings us back to the question, what is the role of education? What is the role of higher education? Why do we educate children? How does it, what do we want them, what kind of role do we want them to play in the society? All these are the fundamental questions that that face us. And several of these questions, Dr. Shahid Siddiqui has actually answered, I would say, reflectively framed in his very comprehensive book, Contemporary Issues, Reimagining Education in Pakistan. So the book is a very comprehensive in a way that it is working at different multi-dimensional levels. So not only it is talking about, talking about the school education and the higher education and the education informally that happens, non-formal basic education. But it is also talking about what goes on at the macro level of policy making, what goes on at the meso level of practices within schools, what goes on in the micro policies, micro practices in the classroom. So how do the teacher-student relationship, questions are asked about that. Questions are asked about how higher education has been controlled. And all this discussion is actually again at the level of abstraction. So there are questions, sociological questions that everyone is invited to think about deeply. But these are also very concrete questions positioned within different historical moments. So you look at the policy, you'll see this is what happened, and this is how it was changed. This is how where we went with it. What was the role of ideology in this? What was the role of knowledge in it? Knowledge in power. How do we actually think about this landscape? So this is a question. This is a book that actually asks excellent questions. So these questions invite us to think more. The best book or the best piece of writing is a writing which does not claim to give all the answers, but actually it positions itself in a way that it can ask very good, relevant questions. So thank you so much, Dr. Shahid Siddiqui. Over to you. If you could talk about your book, I would invite you to come over here. Yeah, आपकी. This is yours. ठीक है? You have the.
Thanks very much, Dr. Tayyiba. Thanks to SOE and their faculty and students. Thanks to Mehboob Haq Research Center. I think MHRC and SOE together organized this event. I can see Dr. Wasim, old friend, old young friend. Well, this is not going to be a talk where I'll be sitting there and I'll be just talking to you. I'll be coming to you as well, and I'll be moving. That is why I asked them that please, give me a mic where I have a facility to move. This book, Reimagining Education in Pakistan, came in November. And interestingly, my very first book, which was published in 2007, the title was Rethinking Education in Pakistan. So still things are there, not much change. And we will be asking some critical questions. And I'll be just sharing with you what was the background of this book. I think the most important challenge for us, the teachers, the students, the policymakers, the curriculum planners, is the fast pace of change. This is the biggest challenge of 21st century, that the same amount of change which used to take place in years now is taking place in weeks, in days, and in hours. And this means that not only the speed is expedited, speed of change is expedited, but also the nature of change is also changed. So this is the background, which means that there are certain implications for us, the teachers, the students, the policymakers, the curriculum planners. And the biggest thing we need to do, the biggest implication is that we need to reimagine education. What is education? And this is the background to this book, that what was the conservative view of education and what is the contemporary view of education. About this change, I hope that some of you might have read a little book by Harari, 21 Lessons from the 21st Century. Anybody? One. Only one. Okay. So I think I've got something for you. Okay. Good. Your name is?
Muhammad Sabir.
Muhammad.
You mentioned it in your preface of your book as well.
Excuse me?
You mentioned it in preface of your book as well.
Good. Great. This means you have read it.
Yeah.
That is a very small, brief book by Harari, and there is one chapter on education. And I would request all of you, especially the English, the education scholars, to read that book. In that book, he talks about this challenge of 21st century. That the policymakers in the past used to plan for next 20 years, 30 years, and they could do that. But now it has become very difficult to plan for next 20 years or 30 years. Why? That because there is this haze of time in between, and also that the speed of change has been expedited. So because change is taking place with such a speed that you cannot say what is going to happen in 2050. So the planning has become very difficult for us. And he also says that 21st century is a very cutthroat kind of century where there is no room for mediocrity. So which means that you have to be on your toes, whether you are students, or teachers, or policymakers, or curriculum planners. He mentions this, that there are certain things and skills which are going to be obsolete in 2050. There are certain jobs which are going to completely disappear, and a new set of skills will be required. A new set of jobs will emerge. But he says that we cannot, visualize what kind of skills would be there, but he makes a list of 5 to 6 skills. And according to him, these skills would be relevant even in 2050. Right? And also, this is the same set of skills is reported by World Economic Forum report. And let me share with you those skills. At the top of the list is AI, artificial intelligence, and then critical thinking, creativity, communication, then adaptability and collaboration. These are the skills which are going to be relevant even in 2050. Right? Now, the important thing is that I think if you look at this list, why critical thinking is so important? Why creativity is so important? And the reason he gives is that if in 2050, no matter how changed are the circumstances, but if you are a critical thinker, if you are a creative person, you would be able to adapt yourself according to the conditions. So creativity has emerged as a very important skill, not only to survive in 21st century, but to excel in 21st century as well. Now, I'll be asking the second question. First question Muhammad has answered, and he has won a trophy. The second question is, have you heard this name, Bloom's taxonomy? Oh, everybody. Okay. Okay. But let me make it a little difficult. Okay. What is at the top rung of Bloom's taxonomy? Creativity. Okay. Let me make it a little more difficult. What are the 2 changes that have taken place in Bloom's taxonomy over the period of time? Yes.
Change the form. The words are written, so they are in continuous form now.
Can you press the?
It is already on. So they change it from verbs,
Yeah.
from nouns to verbs.
Yeah.
So they are in continuous form now.
Very good. Yeah. First change, let me share with them because those, I think the first change is very, very interesting that they have added ing, creating, right? Applying ing. What does that mean? Adding ing. Yeah.
Tell or to imply that these things are continuous, not just one time. Like you are done
Yeah.
remembering and then you have to
Very
start
good. And your name is?
Mahi.
You remember, I think somebody should remember these names because at the end I'll be giving them some trophies. Okay. So the first thing is in Blue taxonomy, ing has been added. And the second important thing is that creativity was not at the top in the past. Now it has got the first position. It is not creativity, it is creating, ing, right? Which means things in progress, right? So change is taking place. Okay. So this means that creativity and critical thinking, they are so important for us for the 21st century. Now let us look at what is happening in our classrooms. If this is what people are telling us, if creativity or critical thinking is the top skill which is required in the modern times, contemporary times, what is happening in our classrooms, in mainstream classroom, not at LUMS, in mainstream schools of Pakistan? What is happening? What kind of education? Is it linked with creativity, critical thinking? Think for 30 seconds. Meanwhile, I will be distributing my trophies to the winners. Don't eat it. Rest of you who are going to win very soon, you can guess that the trophy I gave them, it's named after an animal. Fox. Okay. Good. So the question I left with you is, what is happening in our classrooms? I think because I worked with public sector schools as well, and I can tell you what is happening in most of the, and I worked as teacher. I think education is considered as something passive, apolitical, and this is very conservative view of education. Um, and the whole, objective of education is to create a consensus on agreed upon values. Let me recreate this. The objective of education in conservative viewpoint is to achieve conformity or obedience. And that is why the examination, the assessment system is such that if you deviate from that, you are not going to pass. You cannot disagree with the teacher. I'm talking about mainstream education schools. So this is in technical term in English, in education, we call it functionalist approach that leads to obedience and conformity. Right? What is the Urdu translation of conformity? If somebody tells me, here is a trophy for you. You can guess. ताबेदारी तो है आई थिंक थोड़ी सी हाफ आपको मिल सकती है लेकिन चलो चलें कैन यू कैच इट ओके गुड आई थिंक इन technical term, the translation is taqleed, right? और तकलीद महज एक और होता है, अंधाधुंध, blind following. Have you heard the name of Iqbal? Yes. Iqbal was called Hakimul Ummat. And Hakim, what does Hakim do? Diagnose, first diagnose, right? And one of his verses I'll share with you, because he is the person whose poetry is post-colonial at that time, because he focused on mental slavery, that this is the, problem with our nation. His verses, and you will try your best, and I'll try my best to explain it. बाकी न रही तेरी वो आईना ज़मीरी, बाकी न रही तेरी वो आईना ज़मीरी. He's addressing the Muslims. बाकी न रही तेरी वो आईना ज़मीरी, ए कुश्ते सुल्तानियो मुल्लाइयो पीरी. Kushta is victim. And here is diagnosis that you are a victim of three things. A kushta sultaniyo. Sultan is kingship. Mullai, because in his poetry, mullah is not a positive character, right? Piri, again, piri, fakiri. All these three, what is common? Taqleeds, yeah. Whatever king says, you have to obey. Whatever mullah says, you have to obey. Whatever Pir Sahib says, you have to obey. Right? So his diagnosis is that this blind following is the problem of all your ills. Right? So the conservative view of education focuses on achieving conformity and obedience. Right? This is what is happening in most of our, schools. And how do they do that? Right? Education, as I share with you, that this is not bookish, because I have worked with public sector schools and colleges, and in most of the mainstream schools, education simply means transmission of ideas, skills, and beliefs from one generation to the next generation, right? Now, this simply means that here is a student, this is my student, for instance. Dr. Taiba is my student, right? So, hypothetically, right? I am a teacher. So, this is what is happening in traditional classroom. The teacher has this knowledge. Suppose this is knowledge. I'm going to open this brain, put it there, and jaldi se band kar diya, right? This is transmission, right? What is the role of my student? A passive role. She is just a recipient, right? And the teacher has all knowledge. Now, there are three big assumptions in this, paradigm of education, which is prevalent in our mainstream schools. Three very important assumptions. One, that knowledge is static, it is fixed, and it is out there. Right? This is assumption number one. That knowledge, which was created maybe 20 years back, is the same. And I should give it to next generation because it's same. Right? This is one assumption. The second assumption is that the teacher knows everything. Right? The teacher is Mr. Know-all or Miss Know. And the third assumption is that the students are empty vessels and clean slates, right? So let me ask you first. What do you think about knowledge? Is it fixed or, yeah? What is your view about knowledge? Okay, yeah. Can you speak? Because they should listen to you.
Knowledge is not fixed, is subjective. It can be co-created, co-constructed while sharing with each other, maybe.
Right? Yeah.
Reduces by
You wanted
time.
to say something? Right. But if we go out of classroom, what are the different agencies which are involved in the construction of knowledge? Yeah? Yes, yes. I think we have already won one trophy, but let me give opportunity to some other. She mentioned social institutions are involved in the construction of social reality. Can somebody quickly, in one breath, tell me what are the social institutions? Family, yeah,
Every person or group that you interact with through.
yeah, family, then schools, colleges, universities, and nowadays the most potent social institution name starts with M.
Media.
Social media.
Media is there, right? Um, so all of these social institutions are involved in the construction of social realities, right? So knowledge is constructed on daily basis, right? So this means that let's go to the second assumption. The second assumption was that teacher knows everything. What do you think? No? Yes?
I believe that teacher is as much a learner as a student is.
Teacher is a human being, and it's not possible to know everything. And in these days, teacher has become just a tiny source of information. There are so many other sources available, from Chat GPT to Perplexity to Gemini to Meta AI, etc., etc., etc. Right? So teacher is just one tiny. So the second assumption is gone. The third assumption was that students are empty vessels and they are clean slates. I think it's time for this side to win the trophy. Okay. Do you think that students are empty vessels, clean slates? Yes, please.
No, they are not empty vessels, but they are like a sponge. They absorb everything, whatever.
Okay. So this is another, metaphor we use, sponge. What is the problem with that sponge? Again, at the receiving end,
Same, yeah.
right? So, yeah, please. Can you speak in the mic?
So every soul that comes into world has something inborn, innate, but it dies as soon as we grow
Yeah.
up.
I think I'll take a cue from what you said, that modern research tells us even a child at kindergarten, it's not empty vessel or clean slate. The modern research tells us even before birth, there are impressions in the brain. So all these three assumptions on which this, the building of conservative paradigm, they are totally, they have been challenged and they are debunked. This means that we have to move from this paradigm to another paradigm, that education is not transmission, it is something else, right? What is something else? Think about 30 seconds. Meanwhile, I'm going to give a trophy to the person sitting at the back. She must be wondering, I forgot, I haven't. But I think, can you catch it? You have to hurry because I may run short of trophies. Okay. I left you that this conservative paradigm of education that focuses on conformity and obedience is based on transmission-based teaching, which had three assumptions. A, knowledge is fixed. B, teacher knows everything. And C, students are empty vessels, are sponge, are clean slates. All these three assumptions have been falsified, right? This means that we have to shift this paradigm to some other paradigm. Okay. Now, I think you wanted to say something. Oh, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to answer your question. You said if education is not transmitted or knowledge is not transmitted, then then what it is. I want to say that education and knowledge is a dialogue between the teacher and the
Exactly.
students, as per Ferrari's and inspirations as well. But I believe that education and knowledge is a dialogue between the two persons co-creating their knowledge.
Right. Good. Thank you. So, this was conservative view, but now let us look at the school of thought that challenge this. And they are, this is called critical paradigm of education. And I'm giving you this background because this book has emerged from that paradigm. Now, the functionalist paradigm focuses on obedience, conformity. कहा जाता था कि किसी बड़े मीन सीनियर की बात को ना उसको नहीं करना क्योंकि ये भी एक खता है. So complete obedience, right? So on the other hand, this critical paradigm people, they believe that the objective of education is not conformity, it's not obedience, but it is to bring change at individual level and at societal level. Okay. So, in conservative paradigm, they told us that education is a passive, neutral, and apolitical. But the critical school of thought tells us that education is highly social and highly political phenomenon, which is directly linked with power and politics. Right? Now, it is time that I should be giving coffee. This, notion of power needs to be unpacked. I'll be giving you the conservative view, and you have to give me the contemporary view. The conservative view of power was if somebody is in possession of some weapons, some guns, some sticks, powerful, or heavily built, right? Now the view of power is totally changed, right? Wasim Saab is sitting here. There is a very interesting book from his discipline, Soft Power by Joseph Nye. this concept of soft power is coming up, right? So let's stop here. Can somebody define what is power? I'm not asking for bookish definition, whatever comes to your mind. Yeah.
नॉलेज इज पावर सर जिसके पास इन्फ्लुएंस ज़्यादा होता है शायद
Can you speak in? Yeah.
स्पीकर सर
Yeah.
जिसके पास इन्फ्लुएंस ज़्यादा होता है शायद उसके पास
Very
पावर
good.
ज़्यादा होता है
Very good. Very good. You have already won. Okay.
To change, authority to change.
Okay. Look, they are giving very useful, words. Authority, influence. Yeah.
Yeah, it's invisible in nature, and it's not like there, but you know it, and it even influence your thoughts,
Right.
and you have the fear of it actually.
So here is another thing, invisible, right? It's not conservative weapons or something invisible, okay? Anybody? You have a chance to win a trophy. Because those who have already won, they are going to tell their family. Yeah. Yes? Okay.
I guess power is the freedom to do whatever you want to do, at whatever time you want to do. So I guess invisible power is that.
Okay. Let me facilitate you. And I think there are different layers of power, right? And one layer of power is the ability to make others do things which you want them to do, and otherwise they won't do it. Right? Should I repeat this? The ability to make others do things which you want them to do, otherwise they won't do it. For instance, if I have a gun, I can ask somebody, stand up. Right? The second layer of power is the ability to make others behave the way you would like them to behave, otherwise they won't behave like that. Right? So up to these two layers, power is visible. Right? And guns and sticks and stones can be helpful. But there is a third layer of power. Now you have to fasten your seat belts. Third layer of power is the ability to make others think the way you would like them to think. Otherwise, they won't think like that. How about guns? Can gun be of some help here? No. Right? The ability to make others think the way you would like them to think. Otherwise, they won't think like that. Yet another layer of power is the ability to make others feel the way you would like them to feel, and otherwise they won't feel like that. How about, can guns do that? No. Yet another layer of power. Is there anybody from media sitting here? No? Okay. But everybody is linked with media. The ability to make others see things which you want them to see, and otherwise they won't see. How about this power? Right? Where, guns and conservative weapons become helpless. And here I would like to quote one of my favorite thinkers and writers, Gramsci, who for the first time discussed this idea of hegemony in his book, Notebook. And he mentioned two approaches how to control others. One was political approach that uses force or coercion, like army and police and brutal bureaucracy. by using force to control others. The second approach he mentions is the political society, the civil society. In civil society, the weapon is not coercion or force. It is, language, literature, discourse, films, art. These things are used to control others. And according to Gramsci, the second approach, the civil society approach, is more effective. Okay? Why it is more effective? If somebody tells me, here is a trophy for you. Why Gramsci says that the second approach, that is civil society approach, is more effective than the political society approach.
I think because people internalize what you want them to internalize, and the other way they would, on the face value, say what you want them to say, but not believe in it entirely.
Very good. I think she has won 2 trophies in one go. And I'm going to give you. Why? Imagine
Because it's the actual.
that in the first approach, where force is used, the bodies are controlled. The bodies are controlled. In the second approach, the minds are controlled. Right? What is the difference? And she has given that answer as well. In the second approach, Gramsci uses a very interesting phrase, spontaneous consent. That the group which is being conquered, that group gives consent, come and conquer us. You are superior. Your food is superior, your language is superior, your architecture is superior, your dress is superior. We are inferior. Come and conquer us. So that internalization is the apex of hegemony, right? Where the conquered group, the group which is being conquered, themselves they start thinking that we are inferior, right? So this is spontaneous consent, right? And according to Gramsci, this approach is more effective because you think that you are making decisions. You are not. Your minds are controlled by, you think you are free, you are not free. Right? Okay. Why this discussion of Gramsci and why this? Because it is education which is one of the components of discursive approach or civil society approach, right? Because it's through education that you can capture minds, you can construct minds. Again, because Urdu is also taught here, I think. It was very interesting verse that shows that how education can be used as a discursive force. He says that तालीम के तेजाब में डाल इसकी खुदी को. तेजाब? What is तेजाब? तेजाब जो भी चीज़ डालें वो मेल्ट हो जाती है. तो ये जो मुस्लिम्स हैं इनकी जो खुदी है, ईगो है, इस तालीम के तेजाब में, and he is referring to Western education. हो जाए मुलायम तो जिधर चाहे इसे फेर. Right? That shows, how powerful is this weapon of education. Right? So the critical school of thought believe that phenomenon, right? Because it is linked with power, and I showed you the contemporary definition of power. So the role of education then is not to bring conformity, but to bring a change at individual level and ultimately in the society. Right? If education is not doing that, this means there is something wrong, something lacking. Right? And that has been the message of all the critical educationists like Paulo Freire and all. Until there is a direct link with your society, just education in books doesn't mean anything. Okay. So this was the background of this book. When I was writing this and many other books, I think that there are not very many writers, local writers, who are writing about education. And if you look at some of the writings on education, I can see 4 or 5, right? Uh, One category is just imitation ideas and nothing to do with the local context. Second category is writings based on impressions, personal impressions, no research base. A third, category of writing is that people just criticize things. This education policy is useless. They don't give any, doable alternatives. So a real critical educator is that person. By the way, never ever think that criticism and critical are the same. No. Critical simply means raising questions. And second important component is giving alternatives. So what I tried here is I raised some important questions. And I also, talked about some doable alternatives as well. So in this book, I have tried to, bring this theory and practice together. Because as I told you, I am a practitioner. I worked at different levels, including LUMS. I was at LUMS as well, in faculty of humanities and social sciences. And I've been to different places. So I think it's very important that in education, we have to bring these theory and practice together. Not just practice, not just theory, a blend of theory and practice. I tried to use data. And if some of you who have this book, at least one person has this book, you will see that towards the end there are appendices that give you the most recent data, 2025 reports, right? And then the whole approach is not to be cynical, not to be pessimistic. There are problems, but we have to create our own ways. And for that, what is required is creativity and critical thinking. And finally, some of the sections of this book I can very quickly share with you. Education and contemporary discourses, educational challenges in Pakistan, education in the 21st century, education in teaching, state education and planning, language and education, the role of education in universities, teachers and teaching, education and change. These are different sections, and each section there are different writings. Finally, I think I started this discussion with 21st century challenges and implications. And I think I will bring it to a closure that takeaways of this session for us is that we need to revisit the definition of education. We need to reimagine education. That education is not for conformity or obedience. Education is for a change at individual and at societal level. B, that we need to revisit the role of students and teachers. And finally, in teacher education programs, we have to have a very important, very potent component of reflective practice. I think I stop here. It was wonderful. I think I have to get 2 trophies. This is a new record. Yeah. Okay, one final, and then, Doctor, who is sitting here thinking that you should have got this trophy, but you didn't get?
मैंने वॉन्ट की थी आपने मुझे दी
Okay. Okay. And 2 special trophies are one for Dr. Wasim for sitting here.
Thank you, sir.
And one for Dr. Yuba, for you. I think you need to clap for her. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shahid. Thank you for the excellent session. So the floor is open for questions. Ji, Dr. Sophia.
Thank you, Dr. Sub. I don't know if you remember, we had an interactive session several years ago. It was actually about citizenship and education for Pakistan. So it's really nice to see you back. My question is really about the process of putting the book together. I think it's something that we don't talk about enough, we don't hear about enough. Aapne shuru kiya ki we don't write enough about education. What was that journey like? How did you push yourself through it? And how did you find the right publisher to put forward these ideas? Because it seems increasingly hard to say stuff like that in this country.
Okay. I think there is more qualified person sitting here if it comes to books, Dr. Wasim. But I personally think that the job for us is difficult as well as easy. Easy in the sense that there is a lot of room because we are oracy-based or orality-based society. We talk a lot. किसी थड़े पे बैठेंगे हम we'll discuss. But when it comes to writing, making yourself sit down and write, it is very difficult. So yes, it was challenging, but at the same time, as I told you, there is a lot of scope if you write. Well, I think if I look back, my first sensation was teaching. I love teaching. I came to this profession by choice. But for the last many years, 8 to 10 years, I am getting the same kind of sensation in writing. Because through writing, you can influence more people. And, and this is kind of, if it's in the shape of book, something is documented, it is there forever. I think it's not very difficult for those who are interested in writing. I personally can share with you that how I go about it, my way of doing it. Interestingly, I would start with the title of the book. Book is not written as yet, right? So I make a title and I write my name underneath, and and then I go for the content list. Content is not written as yet, right? So this is kind of outline for me. Of course, it will keep on changing, but this is very tentative, and this is how that gives me that kick that things are there and I have to proceed. But my favorite time of writing is early in the morning. I'm an early riser, 5 o'clock, 5:30. And that is the time, 3 hours I write. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ji,
You said you had also written a book, Rethinking Education in Pakistan. So my question was, what was the major drive for you from rethinking education in Pakistan to reimagining education in Pakistan?
Because it didn't work. It didn't work. But I think the question is why this and reimagining or rethinking and changing this. It's a very interesting question. I think I would give credit to some of my teachers. I did my master's from Gordon College, where our principal was Khaja Masood. I don't know whether, I think some of you have. Zahur Sahib is sitting here. Oh, Zahur Sahib also deserves a trophy. Acha, acha. Sir, by the way, when I joined LUMS, Zahur Sahib was the, rector, vice chancellor. Yeah. So Khaja Masood Sahib was the principal, and he was an amazing person. I was doing my master's in English literature. One day, our teacher didn't come, and Khaja Masood Sahib was always roaming. This is a new, management by roaming. So he came to our class and he said, whose class is this? And we told him that the teacher is on leave and he teaches us Pope. Pope is a poet. And Khaja Sahib started lecturing about Pope. And we were so impressed. And I thought maybe he's coming from English literature. And after so many years, I came to know that his subject was mathematics, not literature. But he was the kind of person who, for us, I still remember that he organized multiple sessions on reconstruction of religious thought in Islam by Eric Cyprian. Then with him, we would go to Faiz Saab's sessions and all that. So that was the beginning. And then I think when I went to University of Toronto, OSC, most of the people there, they were coming from this critical paradigm, who believed that society should be changed. And education is a very important weapon to change this society. So that is coming from that background. Yeah.
thank you so much. We can take one more question. Ji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. I'm a regular reader of your column. In an era when power is being concentrated in just one position and in one institute, being a teacher, you make me feel like teaching is like not passive, and it's just more creative. And how can being a teacher, I can be an activist, and at the same time I can influence the mind of my students. And thanks to your reading to that.
Can you? I didn't get the question.
क्वेश्चन आपका क्या था?
क्वेश्चन था कि आप जैसे अभी ग्रामची की नोटबुक की बात कर रहे हैं, इस पॉलिटिकल एनवायरनमेंट जहाँ पे 27th अमेंडमेंट और बाकी चीज़ें हो रही हैं, तो इसमें तो एज अ टीचर मैं पहले अपने आप को पैसिव फील कर रहा था. सो how do you take us from there, sir? We just feel mum, and like I talked about, we feel at our thought level our thoughts are being even policed and controlled about that.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. In fact, I wrote my first novel in Urdu, novelette. It's called Aadhe Adhure Khwaab, which I was not sure about that because that was first in Urdu, but later it has been translated into Sindhi, Pashto, Punjabi, and English. And it has been published by 3 publishers. And the story of that novel revolves around a university teacher who believes in this critical education and who believes that education should play its role in upgrading the society. And meanwhile, the restoration of judiciary movement is on. So that was the setting. And he goes to Regal Chowk every Thursday and he would take part. And I won't be telling you the next story, but I think I think I'm coming from that paradigm that education should have a direct link with what is happening in society. Education should not produce students to get good jobs, but I think education should be producing such graduates who at times should stand up and challenge the taboos of this society.
Thank you so much. Can we have
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shahid Siddiqui. It was a privilege to listen to you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I would really like to thank Farah Said from MHRC, Dr. Sophia Siddiq, who has helped to sort of like bring about that coordination. Most of all, Aisha, Ahmed, who have helped us coordinate the event. Thank you so much, Aisha. And Fajar, Sarah's office, thank you all for being here. Dr. Shahid's book is available outside on a 40% discount. So you're welcome to sort of like take this opportunity. And before we let you go, Dr. Shahid, this is a small token of respect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aisha. Very nicely managed. So, Dr. Aisha, how are you?
What you doing here? Oh wow! How wonderful! I would love to be in touch, and I will be in contact before I want to. This is my student call. Okay, mind getting tagged with your being with us. It's just that I just wanted to come here and say. अगली करनी है एक आदमी आपको पिक्चर दिखाते हैं मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ I love to see इसमें नहीं है इसमें yeah long time can I get your number as well if you don't mind like it's pretty edgy since funny है yeah sure but we would love to honestly let me speak to them प्यास है पानी नहीं है I would love to come